Joining me now is Yossi Mekelberg, a Middle East specialist from Chatham House in London. Yossi, just how important is this ruling?
I think symbolically it's important because it's a send a message that the European Union, all its 28 members, see the Hamas not as a political movement, not as a movement that is a legitimate part of the Palestinian polity, but as a terrorist group. And as a result, every assets that they have within the European Union is frozen, and also there is a ban on travel. Now, from financial point of view, I have doubt it's going to affect the Hamas because there are not that many assets, financial assets that it has within Europe. The travel ban will have more impacts in case any of Hamas member travels within the European Union. But most importantly, I think the European Union says that from a legal point of view, this is not a legitimate part of the Palestinian movement.
Yet surely Hamas is still a key factor in any peace negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians.
Of course, it's impossible to, or it's wrong at least, to ignore the Hamas. It's a movement with considerable support. We might not like their policies, definitely not their charter that called to an end of Israel and establish an Islamic caliphate. But also we have to acknowledge that this is a movement that learned to evolve. It's also a diverse movement. Not all Hamas leaders and members think the same. And I think one of the mistakes was to have a blanket ban on the Hamas to begin with, instead, understand the root causes of the emergence of the Hamas, why actually Palestinians resorted to vote for them instead of, for instance, the Fatah movement. And secondly, is that to create a space for the Hamas to change in the process and to see who within the Hamas is ready to take a different path. Recently, we saw some change in their publishing is change in their policy, which is a departure to an extent from their charter into something a little bit more acceptable, not as far as probably they should go in order to become a part of negotiations. But I think only by creating this space and look at the root causes, I think the peace process or any relation between Israel and Palestinian can move forward.
It also comes as there have been media reports of a power-sharing deal between Fatah, who once ruled the coastal territory, and Hamas, with reportedly the backing of the newly elected Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that the Palestinian Authority or the Fatah, the PLO, sincerely would like to have this kind of unity. Actually, it was the Abu Mazen that put pressure on Israel to cut more electricity to Gaza, to limit the supply of Gaza, the electricity to Gaza. I think any unity government or even a dialogue between the Hamas and the Fatah is long way away. Having said that, I think it's necessary if the Palestinians would like to be taken seriously in any future peace negotiation. The division between Gaza and the West Bank, the division between the parties, doesn't give them any power around the negotiation table.
Yossi, what level of support does Hamas still have in Gaza?
It has support. In a way, the Gazan people have been punished time and again by Israel, by Egypt, by the international community for voting in free election for the Hamas. And they also experienced 3 rounds of very painful wars. In many thousands Palestinians were killed and their infrastructure destroyed. So I think the message to the Gazan people that the international community, definitely Israel, was unhappy with the result of the election set in Gaza. So, and also the way the Hamas itself behaves, it violates human rights, it imposes its very oppressive views within Gaza. So there is level of support, which mainly because there is more resistance to what the Fatah is representing, definitely what the Israeli blockade, or some will see it as occupation. But probably in new election, if there is any fresh elections, in Palestine, I don't think they are going to do as well as they did 11 years ago.
And given what's been happening regionally, we've known that Hamas have had to move out of Damascus and have had to relocate elsewhere in the region. But what impact has that had on the movement itself?
And it has to be relocated again from Qatar. I think in many ways, as the entire Palestinian issue became just a ball played between different courts within the Middle East and beyond. The same goes for the Hamas. When they see the Hamas as useful in a sense of challenging Israel, there is support come from Iran and from Qatar and from other sources. And when they become inconvenient, the inconvenience turns into stopping the support, asking them to leave the country. But I think the Hamas, in a way, represents part of the tragedy of the Palestinian history, because they became not more than another chip in the bigger game in the Middle East. Unless there is a serious peace negotiation to resolve all the outstanding issue, this will continue. But if you look at the region, the Hamas was never a movement that was widely supported. They are a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, and even this, they were cut from Egypt as a result of development there in the last few years, and I don't think this is going to improve.
Yossi Mekelberg from Chatham House, thank you.